Hey guys, and welcome to the channel. Today we're talking Starfield. And specifically, I ran across this post in Reddit, and I hang out there a lot. I'm part of the community. And I often get these shit posts from random players that exist in the community and just hang around to hate on things. Most claim that they played the game at launch. They played for 4,000 hours, but they hate every part of it. And I was in a forum talking about the new update and how the new Terrain Armada update could be amazing. And of course, I get this shit comment in there, and I thought it just makes sense maybe to comment on it, give some points where I think this is wrong, and why I think a lot of haters are wrong. So the real question is, why do people hate Starfield? And why do I think they're missing the plot? So the commenter said, this game was rushed and incomplete. Nothing will fix it. It was literally just them releasing an unfinished game because of the deadlines, causing them to drop the ball on possibly having a great space RPG shooter. The helium system gone for ships, making settlements truly useless. Barely any story directions. No cutting off factions as you can do the UC and pirates and Space Cowboys all together in one playthrough. No way to just end progress. The game was super fun for 2 months after release. After that, it's just an unfinished game coming from somebody that has 500 hours in the game. All right. So, like I said, I hear this a lot. A lot of people that play the game from the beginning, they play for hundreds or thousands of hours and they hate the thing. And I think this is a pretty common narrative amongst these folks. And what I have to say, first and foremost, is you're missing the plot. I truly think you're missing the plot. I think that Bethesda games are built as a platform for further modifications, upgrades, and just freedom to do what you want. And I think if you're looking for a linear experience with cutscenes that tells you what to do, and you want to play a movie of a game that's very polished, but very, like I said, linear, I think, go play Last of Us or God of War or something like that. It's probably more up your alley. And if you want something that's like very quick paced and you're just in action constantly, Starfield also isn't that. Starfield is meant to get you immersed in the world, and it moves at a different pace. So if you're into fast-paced things, maybe try COD, maybe try Fortnite. Those are great for just like quick action. But if you really want a place where you can role play, and I think people forget that piece, that RPG stands for role-playing game, right? You can't really beat a Bethesda game, and you can't really beat Bethesda's modding community and the platforms they build up. And as great as Skyrim is as a game, and a lot of people would say Skyrim's a great game. A lot of people would say that's their the best game they've made since 2011, aka they didn't like Fallout as much and they didn't like Starfield as much. I would argue that Skyrim is great, and Skyrim has longevity because of Bethesda's modding community. And I think, a lot of people like to get in and poke at Bethesda saying they build these half-baked games and just let the modding community carry it. I don't really agree. I think, let's go back to Starfield. Starfield is a extremely polished game with a ton of content. And the modding community just builds upon that and gives you longevity like other games don't, right? Like, nobody would be playing Skyrim to this day if it wasn't for the modding community. Nobody would be playing Fallout 4. And maybe. I mean, that one did have a show that came out and got all these new fans. But I think that piece is really important. And when people say, Bethesda, this is a half-ass way of them building games, they should be making their own content in game, I think you're missing the plot. I really do, because unlike other games, Bethesda's literally stood up to be a platform. Check it out. You go in the main menu, you hit creations, you select what you want, and you have it in game. Other games don't do this. So when you say it's not part of base game, I actually kind of argue and say it is part of base game. The modding in Cyberpunk's not part of base game. Where the hell in the menu are you finding mods in the base game of Cyberpunk, or a system that allows you to click in-game and add that feature into Cyberpunk. It doesn't exist. Same with Rockstar. It doesn't exist. With Bethesda, it does exist. It's literally part of the game. So the game is built as a platform for expansion where all these different authors can add things into the game. You know another game that's like that? Fortnite. Let's talk about Fortnite for a second. Fortnite, if you go in the game menu, there's hundreds, if not thousands. There's thousands. There's thousands of games that are built by other creators that we play in Fortnite. Like, some people sure are still playing the core Battle Royale Fortnite or other maps made by Epic Games. But like, a lot of us play all these custom games all the time, and no one ever says that Fortnite's an unfinished game. No one ever says, oh, why doesn't Epic add more stuff into this? I'll give some props. Like, Epic does add a lot of content very consistently, but they also have pretty good funding for it. But I would say that for the most part, like, it's a weird argument that Bethesda gets poked at and others don't. And they're just missing that plot of Starfield is built as a platform. They put 1,000 planets in the system. They gave us 175 unique POIs. They gave us 4 factions and a main story to follow, hundreds of quests to do. And then from there, they have a built-in creations option where you can go and you can search and you can add other things to the game at will. And that absolutely includes more ship parts, more character customization. That would include, more points of interest, some really great points of interest, more quests, anything you can think of to keep playing this game. The reason I can continue to play Starfield after all this time is actually really simple. It's because of the creation scene. And the creation scene allows me to go in and find some new quest or armor or guns or ship parts or planets, locations, whatever, to keep the game interesting, basically forever. And that's the same thing that Fallout 4 had, and it's the same thing that Skyrim had. And that's what makes Bethesda games great. And like I said, if this argument from this comment, I just really think is missing the plot. So I'm going to go through and kind of touch base on each one of his topics real quick. Because I think it's interesting and I think it's kind of fun. And at the end of the day, guys, if you don't agree with me, that's fine too. Throw it in the comment section. It's all about fun conversation here. Obviously, I like Starfield and I like Bethesda games, but I like a lot of games, candidly. And I can be critical too. I just think it's more fun to be positive on some of this stuff. We got plenty of haters already. Here's some positive feedback that I have. So I'm gonna kind of break down some of his points. He said in one point of the section, he says they literally released an unfinished game because of deadlines. I disagree. So Microsoft gave them an entire year's worth of development time beyond what they originally asked. It was actually the opposite of rushed, and they were totally feature complete. They were just doing bug fixes for that last year. So definitely was not rushed. He also mentioned something about the helium systems being taken out of ships, barely any story direction, and really focused in on this, like, not cutting off factions once you choose a faction. So the helium for the ships was removed because most people just didn't enjoy it. So they had this in like a test market, and it made the game a lot more tedious, and a lot of people didn't enjoy it. I could throw up on the screen a mod called Real Fuel, which is on Creations, and it gives you helium back. So it's kind of fun. Like, you can actually refuel your ship. You can find helium at planets to fuel your ship. You can actually siphon fuel from other ships. And when you go to travel around, you can actually, it uses like so much fuel to get to certain places. So you can't just like go all the way across the universe and stuff either. You're out of fuel. You kind of got to find ways. You got to find ways back. It's pretty fun. I played Real Fuel for probably like 250 to 300 hours out of my 750 hours. I've actually turned it back off recently. Just because it is for just like, I don't want to say casual, because I usually turn everything up to extreme difficulty, and I've played through this thing like 10 times at this point. But it is at times a little tedious dealing with the fuel management, so I kind of understand why Bethesda took it out. So if I'm in like a real survival mode, mood, I turn this on, and I probably will turn it back on again for some playthrough. But right now, I've had it for the last 2 or 3 playthroughs, and I'm kind of like, I think I'm going to shut it off and just travel effortlessly again, like the base game. It was kind of nice. It was kind of nice. So I kind of see why they made that decision. He also mentioned that without the fuel, settlements were kind of useless. They have plenty of uses, mainly letting players build homes and places with cool views and making it easy to mass farm resources and resource crafting. You also have another star yard for your ship. So overall, I think that settlements are what you make settlements in Starfield. I don't use them a ton because my ship has become my home. It really has. Like, I decorate out my ship, and I live in my ship, and my crew's in my ship, and that's kind of my traveling home. But, if you want to have like a home, like on a planet that doesn't move around, maybe you just park your ship there, maybe your ship's your car, in your world, then like the settlements are pretty cool, and you can decorate them too. And like, I keep telling myself, like, one of these playthroughs, I'm going to make a really cool settlement. It's like a farm, and I'm going to decorate it up, and I'm going to park my ships there. And I just haven't done it. I love this shipbuilding so much. I always end up just making a ship and using that as my home. And it's really convenient because, like I said, it comes with you. You got all your stuff with you all the time. And, it can be really personalized and things like that. So, I personally use my ship as my home, but settlements have plenty of use cases for sure. And then the last thing that he really was like obsessed with is he's talking about this idea that factions don't lock out other factions. And I think it's interesting because going back all the way to like Elder Scrolls, not all factions locked out other factions, like your Fighters Guild, Mages Guild, Thieves Guild, things like that. They didn't really lock out other factions either. And I know some people are going to poke, and the comment under his did poke a little bit. If we go back to that, it said, you can just roleplay other factions. It's silly that we're not locked out. Like, someone was agreeing with him here, and I just don't. I mean, it's a role-playing game with open freedom. Let me take you through a scenario. I want you to think about this for a second. I want you to think about this scenario because I think it's kind of important. So, in real life, can I not be a policeman and a criminal at the same time? Can I not be a buttoned-up, white-collar businessman and also a Somali pirate? You know what I mean? Like to say that if I choose Freestar, that I can't be Crimson Fleet makes no fucking sense whatsoever. That's not how the real world works. Why would they know? How would they know? Right? Like, I mean, it's one of those things. It's just like the real world where, like, you could have a second life that nobody knows about because nobody has, like, omniscient understanding of who you are or what your dirty laundry is. I don't understand why in factions, if I choose the Freestar Collective, I cannot possibly also behind the scenes be a pirate. So I want somebody to answer that for me because, like, honestly, locking out other quests was a design decision. And, like, it would have taken no effort whatsoever to lock out other quests. They chose not to. And you know what? My first playthrough of Starfield, I think I played every one of those factions the first playthrough before going through the Unity. And I thought that was a lot of fun. I thought for people that are not into New Game Plus, that don't like to start new characters all the time and roleplay those characters specifically and just want a game that they play, level up, perk up, gear up, and play a lot of quests, like, why would you want to lock them out of that experience? So that doesn't make any sense to me at all. I think it's a silly argument, and I'm actually really for the design plan that Bethesda came up with on this particular subject. So, yeah, guys, I think that's going to wrap it up for the most part. I just thought this would be kind of a fun video to rant a little bit, poke at the haters a little bit. Big fan over here. If you like the positive content for Starfield, I should say pro Starfield content, because I'm not always positive to the haters. Consider subscribing if you hate Starfield. Like, let me know why. I'd love to talk to you more about it too. So this is always gonna be an open dialogue. You're never gonna get me too hostile by any means, because I just love talking video games. But yeah, if you stuck around this long in the video, that's super cool. I really appreciate it, and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks. Have a wonderful day.